It's TK Friday, and today in the Joy of Editing, it's another full edit. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. It is TK Friday again, my favorite day of the week. Today, I have this really cool image by Asif Masood. This was shot up in Iceland of some waterfalls. A really pretty image. We're going to see what we can do with this today. This is going to be another full edit. Now, as always, I started out in Lightroom. I did no adjustments on this image, send it into Photoshop as a smart object, and then I sent it into the Camera Raw filter, did a little bit of cleanup. There's some people in the image here. I applied the Adobe Adaptive Beta Profile to it, did a few adjustments, and now it looks like this, and now we're ready to start our Photoshop edit using the TK9 plugin for Photoshop. You can download this image as well as the PDF notes and give this edit a try. Now, you will find Dropbox links in the description below this video. Just click on more, scroll down through, and you'll find the image and the PDF notes Dropbox links. If you have an image you'd like me to edit on a TK Friday, scroll down further, you'll find a Contact Me link. Contact me and we can discuss doing one of your images on a TK Friday. Now, when you download this image, it will be a TIFF file. It won't be a RAW file. I just wanted to point that out. You will have a TIFF file. By the way, if you don't yet own the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, we're now up to version 3. I highly recommend it. I'll have a link in the description below this video. It'll take you right over to the TK web store. Use my promo code DK15. You'll save 15% off your entire purchase. That will be the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, along with training videos. Sean Bagshaw has some new courses on luminosity masking. I highly recommend them. And check out the TK Magic Mixer plugin for black and white conversions. You can also use it for color images. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff up here, videos and so on. So check it out. Remember, use my promo code DK15, save 15% off your entire purchase. When you use that code, you're supporting my channel because I make a small commission, and this helps me to keep TK Friday videos coming your way, so thank you for that. All right, then, let's get started, and I hope all of you out there had a very Merry Christmas. Now, on a landscape image like this, I always like to start out with a balance and contrast, just bringing some harmony to the entire image, and I like to do a separate balance and contrast for foreground and sky. Let me show you how to set up the balance and contrast adjustments. Now, you could use an action to do this, but for this video, I want to show you how we actually set it up. Now, the first thing you want to do is come to your multi-mask panel and click on this luminosity mask button, and then you want to choose Midtones 3. It's the lightest of the midtones, and we're only using this to protect us from clipping shadows and highlights. And now we want to output that to a color grading tool, so click this button right here. We need a foreground adjustment and a sky adjustment. This will be our foreground adjustment. So what we'll do next is come to our combo or CX panel, click this button to duplicate that layer. And now what you want to do is come back to the combo or CX panel, hold your shift key down and click this button right here. This will save out a sky and foreground as a channel. And then come back to the combo or CX panel, hold down your command or control key down and click on the layer mask calculator button just to keep it open, because anytime you run a calculation, it will automatically close itself. Command or control clicking on the layer mask calculator button, just make sure it stays open until you click the X to close it. All right, we're going to use this top layer for the sky. So I'm going to click on sky, and all we need to do is click the X, and that intersects the sky with the Mids 3 mask. And now we're going to make the first color grading layer active, and now we'll click on foreground. And again, we'll click X and intersect the foreground to the Mids 3 mask. It's just that easy. And now we can go ahead and do the balance and contrast adjustment with the color grading tool. We can also color grade if needed, but on this image, I don't need to. Okay, so I want to start out with the midtones. So we'll click on the midtone button on the color grading tool, and I want to open up the midtones a little bit over to right there, plus 22. And now we'll click on the shadow button, and I just want to darken up the shadows a little wee bit, and we're going to take it over to right there, minus 13. Now let me shut off the foreground layer. Here's before and here's after. Now we'll click on the sky layer and we'll adjust the sky. I'll start out with the midtones. I'll click on the midtone button. I just want to darken up the midtones a little bit, and we're going to darken them up to right there on minus 15. And now we'll click on the highlight button. Just want to pull back the highlights a little bit over to right there on minus 2. Now let me shut off the sky layer. Here's before and here's after. And now we're done with the layer mask calculator, so we can click the X and close it. And now let me click the before after button on my combo panel. We started out here and now we're here, so we're off to a good start. Coming up next, this is a very ethereal scene for me. I really love this image, and I think a Make It Glow action can really help here. So let's try it. If your TK actions aren't open, click your TK button on either the combo or CX panel. Look for the Make It Glow action. Give it a click. A Gaussian blur comes up. Just click OK, and that is it. Let me shut off this layer. Here's before. And here's after. See that nice glow we're getting, which adds to the water and the sky. And it's got some mistiness in the water areas here, which is really good. I kind of think it helps that out. And also we're getting a nice pop of color, which is really good. Now I'm going to leave the opacity up at 100%. Now, as I study the image, I feel my midtones are a little too dark, so I'll lighten up the midtones. And this is easy to do. We need to come to the multi-mask panel. Now, right now, the color grading tool is in the way. Just click the X. It closes the color grading tool. Nothing changes on the color grading layers. Let's click on the luminosity mask button. And what we want is midtones 1. Now we have midtones 1, we have midtones 2, we have midtones 3. They're all midtones, but they get lighter as you go. But if you just want a real subtle lightening of midtones, choose midtones 1. If you need it stronger, go with 2 or possibly 3. But we'll use 1. We're going to output it to a curves adjustment layer. This is so simple. Click on this button right here. And now just click screen, and that just lightens up your midtones. The mask is controlling that. Now, if I were to click the X to shut off that mask, you would see what it would look like. But let me click the X again and engage the mask. And that's what it looks like with the mask on the midtones only. Now, it's a little too strong. So what I'll do is take this opacity and pull it back to, I think right there, 65%. Let me shut off this layer. Here's before the lightening of the midtones, and here's after. Just a nice little midtone lightening. Now, for the next step, I'm going to take a little bit of an artistic license. You see right over in this light area of the sky here, I want to add some nice orange warm light over in this light area. Let me show you how we can do that. I'll use another TK action. If your TK actions aren't open on either the combo or CX panel, click your TK button. And in the color section, you want to click on add color. Color picker comes up. Just add like an orange color. I'm going to come like right here and then come up and click right around this area. We don't have to worry what that color is because we're going to change it later, and click OK. And you'll note we have a soft light blend mode with a solid color adjustment layer with a black hide all mask on it. Now I do want to change that to a linear light blend mode for a stronger effect. So I'll click this button right here, LL for linear light, and that changes it. We don't see an effect here because we have this black mask. And now to help us target this light area here, I'm going to create a mask and I'll paint this effect on. So we're going to come up to the multi-mask panel, click on the luminosity mask button. So right now we're at lights 1. Here is lights 2. I think lights 2 may work, but let me try some different color channels. Here's red. I'm trying to get the best isolation I can get. Here's green. Here's blue, cyan. Here is magenta, and here is yellow. Now look at yellow. I get some really nice separation in here because, again, I just want to paint in this area, maybe a little bit up into here as well. And now I need to output this. So what I'm going to do is click on this button right here. This makes sure I maintain a black mask. I'll be painting with a white brush through a selection, and you can tell by my selection indicator that I am painting through a selection. And now with a nice soft edge brush, add 100% opacity. Right now I'm at 20%. Type your 0 key if you're not at 100%. That'll give you 100%. And what I want to do is just paint on that color, like right through here. I have not lifted my brush, and I'm just going to paint like right up into here. I might hit it one more time in this area, maybe come over here. And again, I have not lifted my brush, and I think that's going to be good. Now, that's not the color I want, but I'll show you how we take care of that. Come to this solid color layer and double click on the icon. That opens up the color picker, and now you can go ahead and drag this around. You see this to any color that you like here. Now I have a certain color in mind, and this is a hex number right here, and I'm just going to type the number in for my notes, and that is A54702, and I will click OK. Now we're not done here because what I want to do, you see the fill right here? I want to increase this fill. See, when I increase it, I can increase that color. You see that? And what I want to do is increase it to like 25%. I think it's still a little too strong. So let me take the overall opacity and just pull that back a little bit. And I might pull that back to maybe somewhere, maybe 92%. Now let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. Again, before and after. But I really like that nice little orange light back in the sky. Well, I really like the way the sky worked out. Now let's do the same thing to these rocks. See this warm color in these rocks? We can add some nice warm color into these rocks in here, in here, and in here. And we'll use a mask to help us target those areas. We're going to use that add color action. Again, if your TK actions aren't open, click your TK button, click on add color. And this color right here is fine. We can just click OK, because we're going to change it later. And again, we have a solid color adjustment layer with a black hide all mask in the soft light blend mode, which I will change to linear light because I want a stronger effect. So I'll click the LL button, and now we have the linear light blend mode. The opacity starts out at 15% by default. Now I'm referring to the fill opacity, but we could change that later if we need a stronger or weaker effect. Now we need to make a mask to select these rocky areas. And there's some color in here, so I think we can get by with the color mask. I'll click the color mask button, and I think I'll click right here. This will represent the colors that are on these rocks. So I'll click right here, and we'll click OK. We're going to take this brightness slider and drag it to the right to really lighten up those rocky areas. And I think somewhere right around there, maybe a little bit more right there, represents those areas. The light areas will be the areas getting the adjustment. And I think that's going to be good. Now we need to output this. So I'm going to output it to a black layer mask with a white brush painting through a selection. So we'll click this button right here. And there's our mask. There's our selection. We'll be painting through that selection. Now, I don't want to paint at 100% this time. I only want to go to like 20%. And right now I am at 20%. If you're not, type your 2 key. And what we want to do is, with a nice soft edge brush, we just want to paint that color onto these rocks. Like here and here, over in here. I will change this color, okay, by the way. We're going to come up in here and paint in here, paint over in here. Let's paint down in here, down in here. I think we're pretty good. Now what we want to do is double click on the solid color adjustment layer, and we're going to change this color. Now I'm just going to take the number from my notes. I'm going to type it in here, and then I'll click OK. So I'm going to type that number in, and that number is 8A451C, and we're going to click OK. All right, so let me shut off this layer. Here's before, and here's after. Now we need that to be stronger, so I'm going to click on the fill right here, and we'll move this to the right and see how that color changes as I start to move this to the right. And I'm going to take it up to like 25%. So let me shut this layer off. Here's before and here is after. And then we could go back and repaint over any areas that we think we need to. Now, right now the icon is highlighted. You see that? I need to click on the mask. And now I can paint over this area again. Right in here, down in here. Let me paint in here a little bit. Come over in here. I'm lifting my brush and painting several times. Now I only have that 20%. Because I don't want to overdo this, I'll make my brush a little smaller and just paint over some of these rocks up in here. Let me get this here and get this again. Maybe paint over in here. Now, every time I paint again, I've lifted my brush, or unclick your mouse and start to paint again. But I think for now, I think that's going to be pretty good. But that 20% lets you build it up slowly. Now, if we want to see this mask, I could click the double arrow button, and you can see the areas I've painted. But you see this area right here? There's rock right here. The mask does not get it. Let me go ahead and go back to the image by clicking the double arrow button again. And what I want to do is, and you can see that area right there. You see that? What I'm going to do is deselect my selection, click this button right here. Now I'm at 20% opacity, and what I want to do is just paint over that area one time. I have not lifted my brush, and see that just kind of blends that in there. Now let me shut off this layer. Here is before, and here is after. And I like that. That little extra color in those rocks I think looks really nice. Next up, let's turn our attention to these waterfalls. Let's do a little bit of dodging on some of these light areas of the waterfall. It'll give it a nice effect. So to do that, we need to generate a mask. So let's click on our luminosity mask button, and we need to find a tone to target. So this is lights 1, this is lights 2. I think lights 2 will be good, but let's get a color channel that'll help us out here. So let's go through these. Here's red. We're looking for more isolation. Here's green, and now here's blue. And I do like blue. Here's cyan, magenta, and yellow. And now let's come back to blue. I think blue hits the areas I want. Gives us some really nice isolation. And now let's output this to a dodge tool. We have 2 sides in a dodge tool. You can use either side. I'm going to use the right side. And now with a brush at like 20% opacity, we're going to start to dodge some of the light areas on the waterfall. So I'm going to make my brush a little smaller. I have a nice soft edge. And what I want to do is just come and paint down through here. I'll make the brush a little bit larger down through here, and just some of these light areas in here, like so. See how that really looks good? Just like that. Then we're going to come down over here, paint down through here. Let's paint down through here, come down in here. You don't want to go too crazy here. Now, every time I lift my brush and paint again, that gives it a little stronger effect. We're going to come up in here. We're going to paint down in here. And then I'll make the brush a little smaller. Get these waterfalls over in here. Like this waterfall. Let's come down and give it some paint. Dodge it up a little bit. Even this waterfall here, let's paint over it. Now, let me go ahead and shut this layer off. Here is before and here is after. But see that nice effect on the waterfall? Looks really nice. Let's even come down in here, some of these light areas. We're going to paint down in here where this mist is, down in here, over in here, maybe right through there. I think that looks really good. Now, we could check for clipping. See this button right here in the combo panel? This is live clipping. Let's turn this on. When I turn it on, if I had any clipping, we would see red on the waterfalls. We don't, so we're good to go. And now if you click this button again, you'll shut off the live clipping. So we don't have any clipping, and it's really not a bad idea when you're doing something like dodging a waterfall with these really light areas. It's a good idea to check your clipping just to make sure you're not clipping your highlights. Look at the waterfall. I'm going to shut off the dodge. Here's before and here's after. I think that really looks nice. Now, there's one more thing we can do. If you were afraid you may have got into the sky, we could subtract out the sky from the dodging. And to do that, just click on your layer mask calculator, click on sky, click the minus button, and now you've subtracted out the sky, just in case you may have painted up into there, because that sky was light. Next up, I'd like to bring out some of the haze, because again, this is really nice. It's ethereal looking. We got some haze in the image right here. We can bring out some extra haze in here and maybe around the waterfall and over in here. And to do that, we'll use the camera raw filter. So what we're going to do is click on the camera raw button on either the combo or CX panel. That stamps your layers, gives you a smart object, and opens the camera raw filter. The smart object just lets us go back in there and readjust later if we need to. I'm going to click on effects, open up effects. And what I want to do is take the dehaze. Instead of removing haze, I'm going to drag this slider to the left and add haze. You see that? I'm going to go pretty crazy here because I'm going to paint this adjustment on. And I'll take it over to right there, minus 82%, and we'll click OK. Now, I know it looks horrible, but what we're going to do is on the combo or CX panel, click this button here. That'll give you a black hide all mask, and now we don't see all that haze. And click on the white brush button. And drop your opacity to 10%. Just type your 1 key if you're not at 10%. And then what we want to do is just look for some haze at 10% with a nice soft edge brush. Let's just paint on some haze like in here. You see that? And we have some haze in here, maybe up in here. We'll add a little bit extra haze in here and here. And let's come over here. Let's add some haze up in here, down in here. I'm going to make my brush a little bit larger. Let's paint some haze in here. Back in this right hand bottom corner here, let's throw some extra haze in here. Maybe down in here, we'll just add a little bit of extra haze in there. And just take your time. There is no mask here, so you're just painting this on. So let me go ahead and shut this off. Here is before, and here is after. Isn't that nice, that little extra haze? We just want to build that up because it adds to the ethereal look of this image. Now, if it's too strong, you can take the opacity the whole way off and then just build it up slowly and stop where you think it looks really good. And in my case, I think I'm going to take it to maybe right around there, like 75%. Let me shut this off. Here's before and here is after. Again, before and after. but just that nice little haze. Isn't that cool? I went ahead and turned that haze back up to 100% because I thought it needed it. I'll shut this off. Here's before the haze. Here's after. Yeah, I do like that. Next up, I want to add a little bit of vibrance to some of the weaker color in the foreground only. To find the weaker color, we're going to click on this button right here. This is a saturation vibrance mask. We want vibrance, and I generally use like Vibrance 4. Let me click on 4. Here is 5, and I think actually 4 is going to be good. So I'm going to click on 4. We're going to output that to a hue saturation adjustment layer. We'll click this button, and what we want to do is increase those weaker saturated colors. So I'm going to take this saturation adjustment, and I'm going to drag it to the right over to right here, plus 35. I don't want it in the sky, so click on the layer mask calculator, click on sky, click minus to subtract it. And now let me shut this layer off. Here's before, and now here is after. And I really like it. The next thing I want to do is shift the hue of the blue in the sky just a little bit. Let me show you how to do it. Click on this button to get a hue saturation adjustment layer. Click on your layer mask calculator button. Click sky. Click this button to apply that mask to the layer. And then what we want to do is see where it says master. Click this drop down. Click on blues because we want the blues of the sky. And then all we want to do is shift the hue to the right a little wee bit. Shifting blue a little more towards purple. Like right there at plus 6. Now let me shut off this layer. Here's before, here's after, and I do like that much better. We're almost done. A couple more steps. We need a vignette on this image. If your TK actions aren't open, click a TK button on either the combo or CX panel. Click on the basic vignette button. The Gaussian blur comes up. Just click OK. I want to use some blend diff on the vignette, so click on the edit blend diff button on the multi-mask panel. And what we want is to click on this button here for no darks 2 and no lights 2. So our darkest darks and our lightest lights will be protected from the vignette. If I uncheck gray, you can see what it looks like without blend diff on the layer. Here it is without, and here it is with. So it really protects those really dark and really light areas from getting the vignette. I'm using the vignette's default opacity of 30%. Let me shut off the vignette. Here's before and here's after. Now the last thing I want to do, and that is remove a slight halo around the edge here where the foreground meets the sky. Now this is caused by that adaptive profile, which is still in beta. Tony and I have been working on a way to eliminate this issue, and I think we pretty much have figured it out, which I'll show you in an upcoming episode. But for now, I'm going to get rid of this halo, and I'll show you how to do it. We'll need a clone stamp tool, so type S to get your clone stamp tool. In the Photoshop tool menu, make sure all layers is selected for sample. We need a blank pixel layer, so we're going to click this button right here. That'll give you a blank pixel layer. And now what we want to do is come to the multi-mask panel. Now right now, edit blend diff is in the way. Just click on the X. Nothing will change on any blend diff layers. We're going to use a half-edged light mask. And to get to it, see this button right here? It looks like a flower. Hold your Command or Control key down and click on it, and click on light for a light half edge mask. And now what we want to do is increase the radius, and look on the edge up here as I increase the radius. Just see how that goes out. That's where that halo area is. And I'm going to drag it over to right there, 82.5, and we'll click OK. And now we need to output this, so I'm going to click on this button right here to output it to a selection. So I'll click it, and we can tell we have a selection by the selection indicator. And I'll be cloning on this layer through that selection. Now, you want your clone stamp tool to be set to the normal mode. Hold down your Option or Alt key and click to sample an area outside of the halo, and then just paint. Now, you may have to resample different areas as you're going through if you need to, but just paint that halo away. And just like that, it's really easy to clean up this edge. Now, look in this area right around here. I'm going to shut this off. Here's before, and you can see that little bit of a halo. It's really hard to tell, but it's there. And now let me turn this back on, and here is after. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off, and then I'll get right back to you. I'm back. This is before halo removal, so look down into here. This is before, this is after. Again, before and after. Let me go ahead and move down a little bit more down into this area. Here is before, and now here is after. So my halo is removed. I'm going to click this button to go back to fit. And now let's take a look at the overall before and after. So I'm going to click my before after button on my combo panel. We started out here and now we end up here. So I'm really happy with the way this edit turned out, and I do hope that you download the image and PDF notes and give this edit a try. Well, there it is, everyone. Another TK Friday comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed today's full edit, and I want to wish you all a very happy new year. If you enjoyed today's tutorial, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Click that bell notification icon, click all so that you'll receive all notifications, and then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll get notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'll see you all right here next time, but until then, happy editing.